Morning, everybody. Thank you, Ian. You're all very welcome to the CIF's National Conference 2018. You're here, I'm sure, because you realise that your business, your career, your community are all undergoing dramatic change. No matter what age you are, whether you're a young student like those we have visiting us here today from GMIT and DIT, or an old-timer with the scars to prove it, like Tom Parlin, or you're going to face significant change personally and professionally in the coming decade. Brexit, international trade, artificial intelligence are all on the horizon. Someone said to me recently, it's important to stop worrying about the everyday problems. Take a breath and worry about problems coming down the line. So today, we cover, amongst other things, the skills you personally will need to learn to compete in the construction industry over the next decade. Coping with the challenge of disruptive technology, including 3D printing and automation, particularly now that we have seen the EU's first 3D printed building. How to attract and retain millennials, particularly girls, into our industry as they continue to vote with their feet and walk away from construction. Compete effectively for available funding and work under the government's 10-year infrastructure plan. So today, I encourage you to ask questions of our speakers and our panellists, as they have decades, even centuries of experience. Engage with many of our exhibitors who are thinking about your problems and providing solutions that can help. Finally, to talk to each other. This industry is at its best when it collaborates. Okay, before our conference starts proper in just a few moments, it's my role to set the scene. This is our industry's last chance to end the boom and bust cycle that has plagued our industry over our history. We have built and rebuilt Ireland many times. I think we now need to build a sustainable and stable construction industry. This means when we face the inevitable downturn, the impact on our industry and of our industry isn't so volatile. Einstein said that carrying out the same activity repeatedly and expecting a different result was the definition of insanity. But I don't think that we are insane. We are optimists. We are entrepreneurs. I think we see the opportunities and we go for them. Last week, News Talk played the announcement of the bank guarantee from 10 years back. I had a terrible flashback at the mornings of those grim announcements. At the same time, I sat in traffic. I was sitting behind a builder's merchant's van, and written on the back of the van, it said, "It's official, the recession is over." But I also noted it was a Dublin reg. That's that attitude that makes the industry great. This resilience will underpin the industry's future. I believe we can remove the volatility inherent in our industry and, of course, the negative impacts on the wide economy, but not on our own. That's why it's really important that we have Minister Murphy at our conference this afternoon. The Minister and his predecessor deserve credit for the policies they have put in place at national level. It's important that we also have Robert Watt from the Department of Public Expenditure and Reform and Paul Quinn of the Office of Government Procurement. These individuals and Minister Donoghue are critical partners in trying to introduce measures today that will dampen the volatility our industry will face when the next downturn occurs. These policymakers understand that it's not enough for government to simply make commitments in housing and infrastructure without ensuring the industry has the capacity to deliver. I've heard it said many times, the industry will deliver. Well, I for one don't think that's good enough this time. Yes, we will deliver 35,000 houses per year, and the 116 billion in infrastructure required. But we must do so whilst also investing in our people so that they have a long-term career, investing in technology so we can build efficiently and more productively, increasing the amount of unique construction products and services Ireland produces, helping the Irish economy meet its carbon targets. Minister Doheny would never say it publicly, but he is attempting to prevent boom and bust cycles, and he recognises that our industry is critical to these plans. He sees the benefit to the wider economy of supporting the industry. The NDP, the MPF, Rebuilding Ireland, the Government's Action Plan for Jobs and for Regional and Rural Development, in addition to the IDA strategy, are all contingent on the construction industry's capacity. That's why the CIF is strongly committed to the construction sector group, recently established within the National Development Plan that Robert Watt is chairing. I've talked to Robert and asked him to expand the ambition of this group to chart out a growth strategy for the industry for the next decade. This strategy will have to see the government invest in the productive capacity of our industry. It's obvious in the numbers of contractors going out of business and housing buildings still unviable outside the GDA. The current model does not work. Other jurisdictions support construction companies to improve their businesses. For example, the UK has recently announced their construction sector deal, where the government has committed millions to develop its construction industry's capacity to deliver its 600 billion infrastructure strategy. Our own government sees the benefit of a more productive construction industry also. The creation of the BIM roadmap aims to achieve a 20% reduction in delivery time, a 20% reduction in capital costs, and a 20% increase in exports by 2021. However, whilst the roadmap is well signposted, it requires investment. The vast majority of companies will need support to make this digital transition. Another area where we are working with the government is in the public sector procurement practices. Progress towards sustainable procurement within the public sector and industry has been slow. There is a new sense of urgency brought about by the Minister and the OGP, and that is very welcome. If we collectively move away from lowest price award criteria, I think this will stabilise the industry and benefit both the public sector and the taxpayer over the lifetime of the NDP. The CIF is working very hard to progress these issues itself. And I'm delighted to announce that we're developing a national research strategy for the construction industry in 2019. Phase 1 of this process has been launched in partnership with Galway Mayo IT. We have some students here from Galway Mayo IT here today. And we will be bringing all researchers across the institutes of technology and key CIF members in November to identify a shared research agenda. I want this to be seen as the first step on the road to a state-owned research body for construction, in the form and in the scale of Teagasc. On a related note, in our efforts to build on the strengths of the industry, we are beginning a partnership also with the Irish Management Institute on an executive leadership programme. We also intend to engage with the IMI to help develop our thinking and that of the construction sector group in setting out a growth strategy for the industry that expands Irish construction's global footprint. Part of any such strategy will have to address the biggest challenge to our industry's future, and that is in attracting young people into construction. We need to get this story out there to young children, parents, career guidance counsellors, that the industry has changed and is changing. That there are opportunities again to build a life, to build their career, and to build their communities. But each of us will have to become advocates for our industry again. Here's an interesting question. Would you recommend to your children or a friend a career in construction? Or how about, would you recommend construction as a job to your daughter? We really are behind the curve in attracting females into the industry. Only 5.5% of the workforce is female, and that's just not good enough. The CIF recently launched a diversity and inclusion guideline document for all its members for adoption in their businesses. To add to this, in 2019, the CIF will lead a national awareness campaign promoting the industry to younger people and their parents that will also reach into primary and secondary schools across the country. So in summary, we have a unique opportunity to build a sustainable, stable industry in this economic cycle. Without our partners in government, we are taking steps now, with our partners in government, we are taking steps now to do this. If we can continue to collaborate, as we have been in the past few years, on issues such as diversity, productivity and procurement, I think we should be ambitious enough to say we can end the boom and bust. We have built and rebuilt Ireland many times. It's now time for us to build a sustainable industry. Thank you and enjoy the conference.